Hey folks, I hope you all had a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holiday, and a Happy New Year this year. So I chose red and green lighting for this video to try to be more in the festive spirit, and unfortunately I think that the green lighting has become appropriate for a different reason, a less jolly reason, perhaps a Grinch-like reason. I think that I'm going to have to be the Grinch who ruined Doctor Who Christmas this year because I had some major issues with this story. It's not a total dud. I really liked a lot of parts of it too. There's some major highs, but there's also some major lows that manifest, especially towards the tail end of the story that I just couldn't get behind. It started losing me, and then it got pretty weird by the end, in my opinion. So I gotta speak my truth. And just keep in mind that, if you love this story, that's totally awesome. This is just my opinion, my subjective opinion. It is not definitively correct. I don't believe that. No one should believe that. And if you have a different opinion, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear rebuttals or agreements with what I have to say here. Please sound off in the comments below. I am genuinely interested. So without further ado, let's dig into it. I really wanted to like the Christmas special this year. After a fairly tumultuous and uneven 2024 for Doctor Who, I felt like the show needed a definitive win. This just didn't do it for me. Don't get me wrong, there are some really high highs, specifically involving some strong emotional moments. But the plotting, pacing, humor, and very strange ending all conspire to sink this story. Let's start with the good and work our way downward, basically like the episode did. I like the premise of the Time Hotel. It's a really cool, fun, weird, wacky idea that just fits perfectly in the Doctor Who universe. It incorporates time travel in an interesting new way that causes the Doctor to be able to do some loopholes, skirt the laws of time travel and paradoxes because of the way the hotel is set up. I think that's a cool new sci-fi concept to play with. I love the theme of loneliness and the need to connect with others. I feel like that's a really strong theme that comes across very well. I love Trev. He's a great character, a great companion. I wish he'd been at the Doctor's side for this entire story.
I won't let you down, sir.
I'm sure you won't.
No, seriously, I'm on this. This is going to be the least I've ever let anybody down.
He's a very fun, affable, somewhat nervous, but good-natured kind of a character. He kind of gave me Harry Sullivan vibes. I like Joy. She's a sympathetic, sweet-natured, likable character. It's just a shame that we get to spend so little time with her. She's just banished from the screen for the extended middle hotel section, and then when she is brought back in, she's primarily in weird AI mind control mode for the vast majority of her screen time. So you don't get that much of a chance to experience or see the real Joy. You see flashes of her, you see some very emotional and powerful moments from her, the real Joy, but there's just a few of them. Speaking of the middle section though, I love the middle section where the Doctor spends a year in the hotel, forming a friendship with Anita, the manager. Their final scene together before the Doctor leaves is genuinely touching and authentic. And I think it's unquestionably the peak of the story. I think part of the reason that this middle section works so well is it just slows everything down to a manageable pace and lets you really sit with and get to know these characters, especially the Doctor, a bit better, hammering home the importance of human connection, which is a great message for a Christmas special. The Doctor's realization that he has no chairs on the TARDIS, leading to him offering a chair to Anita to sit down and have a conversation with him, is a great metaphorical through line about the importance of living in a space that invites companionship. The scene where the Doctor is about to leave before Anita catches him is hands down the best scene in this episode. It's the emotional farewell the Doctor is trying to avoid, even though he desperately needed it. Both actors deliver excellent, subtle performances that make them feel like real people. I'm not ashamed to admit that this scene elicited some tears from me.
Think of me sometimes. For Auld Lang Syne.
For Auld Lang Syne.
It's largely everything that happens right after the scene where things start to really fall apart. Now the negatives. First off, there's just a lot of cringe humor in this story. More than usual. Doctor Who is no stranger to cringe humor, but this one is overloaded, which tends to be a problem with Christmas specials that I've never really liked, and this one is no exception. Lots of really broad, corny exchanges, and an over-reliance on some real groaner punchlines.
Is this armed?
The mansplaining exchange is particularly cringe in my opinion. And it just sounds like someone knows that that term is popular and in vogue right now and is trying to inject it into the storyline to feel trendy and modern.
You were being mansplained by a briefcase.
I thought I was being mansplained by you.
Honey, the doctor's in the room is mansplain central.
While some emotional beats land beautifully, others feel like they come out of nowhere and are a bit forced and melodramatic in their execution. The Doctor's sudden emotional death scene with the Silurian is touching, but it also feels a bit overdramatic and even maudlin at times. The Doctor flipping out over the other Doctor not breaking the knowledge loop of the bootstrap paradox also felt a bit forced and overdone. I question why he was so furious in the trailers, and after watching the episode, I have no better conclusion than because they really wanted to heighten the scene without fully earning it. It's just not set up properly enough, so it feels a bit jarring and false. His rage feels like it comes out of nowhere and is more self-generated by the actor, rather than him organically reacting to external motivators. And I feel like I've seen this a few times in this era with Shudigawa. I think he's an excellent actor. He has the ability to go really, really big, and even a little hammy at times, if he's not reined in. And I feel like sometimes he's given the directive by the directors to go way too wild and way too intense in his emotional performances. I don't know if I blame him for this or if it's the writing and the directing, but something's feeling a little off with the way they handle some of the 15th Doctor's more extremely emotional moments. The scene where the Doctor and the Silurian first bust into Joy's room is also oddly written and off-putting. Anita, the hotel manager's casual disregard for her guest being clearly upset the two men have invaded her room was actually really irritating, a bit galling, to be honest, and it made me like that character less.
Why is there a lizard man in my room?
I'm so sorry. This has never happened before.
Question, what is in that case? Can I see?
Look, I'm just gonna put his towels in the bathroom.
The way the Doctor leaves the case open until the very last second when she's terrified she's about to die is also a weird moment that I don't think comes off as funny as Stephen Moffat thought it was. And it just, again, made me really irritated and dislike the Doctor even more. Now, I do love the year in the hotel sequence, but it does unfortunately create some narrative and pacing issues. It's just a shame that the extended hotel sequence takes away a big chunk of time that Joy, the primary guest, could have been spending with the Doctor. We basically meet Joy for a moment, and then get the big scene between her and the Doctor where she ends up being possessed. But then she just gets shunted out of the story for an extended period of time before she gets brought back at the tail end to either be mindlessly possessed by the AI, get emotionally torn down and destroyed by the Doctor, or get repossessed by the AI for a second time before she flies off and turns into a star. We end up feeling more of a connection with the Doctor's relationship with Anita than we do with the Doctor's relationship with Joy, the supposed guest star of the episode. It feels like two stories were crammed into one, and the more primary story actually got the short end of the stick and suffered for it. The way the Doctor forced Joy to wake up by reading her and being incredibly cruel, while it made sense in the context of the story, was still really hard to watch and made me dislike the Doctor even more.
Your room is the worst, loneliest, saddest hotel room in the world. What kind of person? Kind of sad sack human train wreck puts himself in a room like that at Christmas?
Honestly, it just kind of reminded me of stupid commenters on the internet who have really big opinions and like to armchair psychoanalyze people.
I just spent a year in the hotel room that you chose. Do you know what you can tell about a person from the hotel room that they choose?
Nothing.
Everything.
Just being in a hotel room, like, that doesn't say anything. All it says to me is that that was the hotel room she could afford. Hotel room is just a place to stay while you're traveling. I thought that was bullshit. I thought that was mean. I don't like that the Doctor is portrayed as not only justified in his cruelty, but also completely accurate in his very cruel and judgmental assessment of her character. She acknowledges that everything he said was true.
A sad sack human train wreck.
A squishy little baby face.
Have you seen your smile? Like the lid on a boiling pot.
You say, I'm Joy. Does everybody burst out laughing?
Everything you said was true.
I really dislike the ending. I know they try to play it off like it's a good thing, but it's just too disturbing and horrific of a concept for me to get behind. It's actually a really tangled web of existential horror, wrong-headed moral lessons, and an either unintentional or gleefully willful ignorance of the concept of AI. This is the second Moffat-penned story this year where an evil AI absorbs a good person and then is magically transformed into good, helpful AI. Basically, The story is saying that Trev, Joy, and the others that were killed by the Villain Guard AI is actually a good thing, because they got to be reborn as immortal digital avatars of themselves, living in this star forever. And that's somehow preferable to their regular mortal lives. Never mind that I'm assuming that all these people just disappeared and were never heard from again, leaving several friends and loved ones behind to mourn their loss and always wonder whatever became of them. Also, never mind that it seems like the real versions of them were actually killed, and it was just digital copies of their personalities that were uploaded to the AI. The AI specifically says that they're dying, so yeah, I think those people were killed and replaced by soulless AI puppets. On the other hand, if they are still alive and conscious right now, this seems like a fate worse than death. Trapped in an alien star millions of miles from home, no companionship aside from the random collection of people that the AI callously murdered and absorbed in its quest for self-actualization, eternally conscious, no access to the sweet release of death. But I don't know. Maybe they have a ping pong table or get access to Wi-Fi up there or something. There's also the massive problem of consent throughout this story. Everyone who gets handcuffed to the briefcase seems to be immediately possessed by the AI, mind-controlled into thinking that they love and care about it. Then, once the AI finds a better host with higher access to its goals, it ditches the old person and coldly tells them they're about to die before moving on. That doesn't seem like a benevolent creature worthy of celebration. That seems like an evil parasite, using and then discarding people. Adding other people's consciousness into its own AI just seems like some next-level Black Mirror eternal slavery shit. I don't like it. The doctor even points out that the case is within this religious tomb because, in his words,
The case admits a psychic field that possesses people is basically how you start a religion.
it hypnotizes people into worshipping it. It's a perfect basis for religion. So the case clearly mind controls people into loving it, which is incredibly evil. It's never a good thing, and Doctor Who of all programs should know this. Joy is only not possessed for a couple of minutes of screen time before being immediately possessed again. The Doctor emotionally tears her down to get the case to disconnect from her. Then they walk down a hallway into another room where there's something that the Doctor explicitly says hypnotizes people into worshipping it. He leaves her alone in there, she gets hypnotized again, and ends up becoming the womb to birth this new star. And yes, I am not forgetting the ham-fisted monologue that Joy gives at the end, where she insists as hard as she can that yes, I want this. I want this to happen to me. It's a good thing. The AI has evolved past Villain Guard's programming, and it's good now. It's good that I'm going to leave Earth forever with these digital copies of murdered people and fly off into the universe and become a star. It's a good thing, and I'm happy. Really. Definitely no chance that the mind-controlling AI that's been mind-controlling me for this entire story is still mind-controlling me like a meat puppet. The star seed will bloom and the flesh will rise. That's not a creepy thing to say at all. You have a glowing sun in your womb now. You've been impregnated while being mind-controlled. I generally dislike stories where someone is permanently horrifically transformed into some strange abomination, and the heroes just brush it off like it's no big deal. Doctor Who has pulled the stunt a few times, ruining the end of otherwise great stories. It just always makes me feel alienated and leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Then there's the whole COVID angle. The core of Joy's character is apparently that she spends Christmas Eve alone every year, since her mother died because of the intense guilt she feels for not being with her when she passed on Christmas Eve. This is treated as a big secret that Joy bursts out with like it's a confession.
I listened to them, and I let my mother die alone. I can never be home on Christmas Day. And I can never be with anyone on Christmas Day because I let her down. I let her down on the last day of her life on Christmas Day.
It's almost played like she's admitting to her original sin. Like what she did was actually wrong. A failing on her part during a crucial moment in her life. This is wrong. It's natural and realistic for her to feel guilt. Yes, but it's wrong for the story to imply that what she did was wrong, that she was weak and cowardly and now must atone for her sins. She should open up and work through her grief, yes, but she did nothing wrong and doesn't need to make up for it. To be clear, I do not have a problem with Joy feeling guilt over this and having it affect her so deeply. That's a really interesting and timely idea for a character motivation. One that I'm sure many folks who weren't able to say goodbye to their loved ones during the pandemic can relate to. But the conclusion involving the justification of that guilt, and thus requiring penance in order to make things right, is a completely incorrect, victim-blaming proposition. So mind-controlled Joy becomes an incubator for a super AI son and blasts off into space, never to have a normal life again. This is her punishment for being weak and not busting into a hospital during the pandemic. On the other hand, her reward is that she gets to stay alive somehow because her flesh will rise, and gets to go back in time and absorb her mother's essence into the sun in her final moments of life. So now her mom is also eternally cursed to be a part of a super AI. Awesome. This is yet another example in a long history of Moffat wanting to have his cake and eat it too. In this case, it's to have the conclusion of the story be both a comeuppance and a reward. And then we get that final moment where the Doctor discovers the true nature of the Joy Star, and oof. This is just a lot. Joy is apparently not just any star, but the star. The Star of Bethlehem. The star that inspired the 3 wise men to go and seek out Jesus Christ, born in a manger in Bethlehem. I gotta say, I was just not expecting Doctor Who to go full Peanut special on us.
For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord.
The relationship between Christmas and Doctor Who has always been more about the holiday spirit in a general sense. Goodwill towards all, peace on earth, the importance of family and friends, etc. You know, that kind of stuff. And then imagery-wise, it's always been the more general stuff. Christmas trees, Santa Claus, you know, that sort of thing. Those things still have some sort of a religious root, but I feel like they've become so mainstream and ubiquitous with the holiday season that they're more or less safe symbols that you can put into your special without seeming too overtly religious. They even switched to New Year's specials for a few years to get away from the denominational aspect of the special. But, you know, nobody liked that, including myself, because nobody wants to watch a special on the day that they're going to be incredibly hungover. But everyone's down to watch a special during the center of the holiday season when they're most likely to have the day off and be with friends and family. It just makes more sense from a logistical issue to have the Christmas special rather than the New Year's special. But I gotta say, seeing the historically non-religious Doctor become so overjoyed when he sees the connection between this Christmas miracle and the birth of Jesus Christ just came off as weird, off-brand, and out of character. So wait a second. If the star has the power to hypnotize people into worshiping it like a god, forming religions around it and all that, are they implying that the worship of Jesus Christ, and indeed the entire foundation of the Christian religion, was spawned from a mind-controlling, man-made AI star from the distant future? Is that what this story is saying? I wonder if most viewers picked up on that. I mean, I didn't pick up on it at first. I wonder how a Christian might feel about it, because it does sort of undermine their savior story, replacing God's power with a sci-fi technological explanation. They even throw evolution into the mix just to piss off the creationists. I wonder if Moffat made this story as a secret critique of religion, disguised as a celebration of it. Wait, is Moffat saying that in the Doctor Who universe, all Christians are mind-controlled zombies, essentially? They're all hypnotized by some super AI from the distant future? Is this special a massive troll job? Is Moffat an evil genius? Or am I just going off the deep end right now? I think it's probably the last one. I mean, honestly, I feel like this episode just has broken me. It's probably time to wrap this up, bring it to a close. This story has been rumored to be Stephen Moffat's final story he'll ever write for Doctor Who, and I can feel that in the way it's written. It feels like an older writer who doesn't give a damn anymore and just wants to say whatever he thinks and feels without a filter. All of his stories have some level of social commentary to them, but I feel like they're generally more refined and reined in. This feels like he just let all of his more half-baked opinions on society spill out all over the story. In general, this story started off really fun, but then gradually decayed as it went along, and eventually just ended up feeling really weird and off-putting. Basically every single character in the story, even the ones that I generally really liked, came off extremely unlikable at some point. Except for you, Trev. Never you. I love you, Trev. You are a gentleman and a scholar, and you can do no wrong.
Thanks.
It's laced with cringy humor, weird philosophical stances, and wrong-headed moral lessons. The fun of the first section, and the genuinely heartstring-pulling middle section with the hotel manager cannot save how absolutely bonkers and bizarre the third act becomes in this story. It just flies off the rails and loses me completely by the end. I give this story a C+. And that's it. That is all I have to say about that. I am sure some of you out there do not agree with my opinion, maybe some of you do and got some catharsis out of this and feel like you're not crazy and alone anymore. It is just a bit of fiction that rubbed me the wrong way. Except for some parts which really sung and were beautiful. I wish the whole story was as beautiful as the most beautiful parts. But you know, that's Doctor Who, and that's Doctor Who Christmas specials. You know, most of them aren't that great anyway, so you know, just put this on the pile of mediocre Christmas specials in my mind. But please, like I said before, comment down below, share your opinions with me. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? Am I crazy? Am I a genius? Am I just a regular person saying things about a TV show? And one more time, let me just wish you all a Happy New Year. I hope you all had a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you all. May your 2025 be bright and joyful and full of miracles and amazing AI that is only here to help us and make our lives better. Yeah, and that's it. That's it. So until next time. Oh, look at that. Oh, there's a beautiful star out there in the night sky. Oh, look at, it's a miracle. Is that joy? Oh, it looks like it's coming closer. It's getting really bright. It's coming closer to me. Is this a Christmas miracle or something? No, it's coming kind of fast too. It's really big and fast, and it's coming right at me. And